I think musically we were like a bit less afraid to like do a big chorus again and stuff like that, which is maybe something we did a bit less on the second album and more on the first. So I think
now we want to get rich.
Hi, my name's Ella Kemp and you're watching NME, and today for the latest in our In Conversation series, we are here with Charlie Forbes and Charlie Steen from Shame.
Hello.
How's it going?
Very good, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Ben.
Thank you so much for talking to me today about your third album, Food for Worms. It is January, when this video comes out. It is January, and you often chat with NME in January. Is there something about the start of the year that you find particularly refreshing, rejuvenating? Do you believe in it in any way?
I don't know. I think
Cool.
we fucked this one up
Next
already.
question.
We're always chatting in January because we're always putting out a fucking album in January. And this time around we're happening to put it out in February, which is quite nice. And I don't know, I think there is something to the new year. We definitely had, 2022 was a really fucking busy, productive year, to say the least, and that's when sort of we took a new perspective to writing, and that was pretty much when we got together most of Food for Worms. So maybe it's a good month for us, I don't know. We're yet to see.
Food for Worms, I want to ask about the name of the album just a little bit. You've spoken in the past about kind of being fed by audience reactions in that kind of way. Who are the worms?
Who are the worms?
Are you the worms?
They're the worms.
They're the worms.
Why are they the worms? You're being fed by the audience.
No,
We're feeding them the music.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we're both the worms.
Yeah, they
Feeding
like
each
to
other.
eat.
Am I the worms?
You're definitely the worm.
We're all a worm.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with rejuvenation and shit like that, I think there's definitely a new chapter on the horizon.
Cryptic.
Yeah, better and bigger beginnings, we hope.
Less cryptic.
Does it feel like in any way, it feels like there's a little bit coming back to the rebirth of your first album, Songs of Praise, in some kind of way. Was that intentional anyway to go back to that?
I mean, I don't think so. I think Sean came up with we wrote it in a very concise period of time. Like we started January 18th, 2022, and we went in to record on the 1st of May. So that's the quickest we've ever done anything. So in like some ways, it's pretty concise as an album with like the themes and, you know, even sort of musically things linked together quite nicely. But Sean came up with the album name Food for Worms, like he did with Songs of Praise. And the themes are pretty evident in there, you know. I think it can sound quite like bleak as a title to some people. But then, you know, there's a way of thinking about it like death and stuff like that. But then there's the other way about thinking about it, which is sort of like rebirth, like Forbes was saying, and perspective and stuff like that, which I think how we would like to think about it more. I'm not trying to do a depressing album.
I think musically we were like a bit less afraid to like do a big chorus again and stuff like that, which is maybe something we did a bit less on the second album and more on the first. So I think
now we want to get rich.
Spring is the season.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
What was that recording period like? Like I heard there was something a little bit of an ultimatum to kind of write quickly.
Yeah.
Was there more pressure in that period, or was it actually quite energizing in a way?
We went through, I mean, it's busy. Like it's weird looking back on it now because it's like probably one of the most.
This year.
2022 feels like probably the most busy, productive year we've ever had as a band. But in 2021, we were doing a lot of writing, but it wasn't. We came up with good ideas. Like Six Pack came from 2021, and I think there's the one or two others that came from there, or whatever. But we couldn't get past a certain stage. Do you know what I mean? We couldn't get it into a fully formed song. And then at the beginning of the year, I guess that was that sort of new perspective thing. And our management set us this challenge of being like, 2 weeks from now, you got to be able to play these songs live at the Windmill, like a whole new set of songs. And so we went away to Otterhead in Rugby, where there are no distractions. And
no anything.
Yeah, and then we pretty much in that week we were there came up with like 6 of the songs that are now on the record or whatever in their sort of early stages. And so that was it. We were sort of, like with Songs of Praise, we were sort of writing to play instead of doing it in more of a deconstructed way, I guess, sort of like writing in bits or whatever. We sort of like now had the sort of goal. We were like, okay, we've got this gig, let's get a song finished. Which sort of puts the fire up your ass a bit.
Yeah. So how did the songs kind of change once you did start playing them? Like, what did you get back from the crowds?
We did not really much. I mean, the way
Sorry to your fans.
the way it happened, I think, when we were in Otterhead, it was like, okay, there's a verse, there's a chorus, okay, repeat that, boom, that's done. There's a verse, there's a chorus, repeat that, done. So then it was more like Josh got COVID, who's quite a big part as well on sort of arrangement and sort of musicality as well, the day that we went to Otterhead. And so we were sending him stuff and he sort of came in when we came back and has like the second half of Adderall, for example. And sort of, that was when, after you got sort of like the root of the songs, I guess, that was when we were like, okay, let's think about a transition and about an ending, I think. When we played, so like with Six Pack, for example, we would play that and it used to just finish at sort of like the halfway line. And then we were like, okay, we need to extend that, obviously. But it's sort of, it's the quickest test, isn't it? To see what sort of stands up and what doesn't and what works.
Yeah. I also heard that when Josh got COVID, you stepped in and played bass a bit.
I did.
How was that?
I did. It was, yeah. It was, so luckily we were with a person called Max Golding as well. Shout out Max.
Shout out Sizzle.
Shout out Sizzle. And so basically, I mean, like with the first song we did when we got there was Adderall and I was playing the bass, which is why it's 4 notes that doesn't actually change through the verse and chorus. And then through doing that, I kind of realized it was easier to find, never done that before. And it was a pretty easy way to find a melody for singing as well. So the vocal melody is just the bass line for Adderall. And then with Burning by Design, that's the same thing. But Max was able to step in and first of all play it better and also make it a bit more interesting. I just do down, so like when we were working out songs, whatever, I had to work out a melody, I just asked Josh for like the layman notes, no rhythm, and just do like downstroke, downstroke, and then find it out. And so, but that was really fun. And then I've been doing a lot more writing and I really enjoy it. I want to sort of, I think we're going to try and maybe play a guitar for all the people live for my first time ever.
Exciting.
Yes.
We heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, exactly. Stop the press!
Where do you think would be a good location or like a good safe space to try that out?
I mean, I think what we learned as well from when you play these songs as well is that they're going to sound a bit sort of, you know, they're going to sound rusty. The way to get tight, maybe not all the time, but definitely the best way is just to sort of keep doing it at gigs. If it's pretty crap in Birmingham, then we apologise, but maybe it'll be better in Sheffield or whatever.
Why sorry to Birmingham?
I don't know.
Playing Birmingham this time.
I know, we will play it later, yeah.
An additional date, desperate to see you play the guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to talk about Adderall. I also don't know if this is true, but I saw it written down that Phoebe Bridgers does guest vocals on the track.
Phoebe Bridgers actually does all the vocals on the track.
Tell me about that and how that came to be. She's very in demand.
She's pretty famous.
We're on the same label as her, and we tried to get our label to hook it up because we thought it was like a kind of American Adderall, you know, it's like an American drug. And we thought it would sound nice with like a lady's voice there. And they were unable to hook it up. And then by chance, she was recording in the same studio as us just one day randomly towards the end of our session. And we did a trade where Josh went and did some tambourine on her new track, and she came in and did the vocal line on our track, which you can't actually hear at all.
I listened to it so many times and I was like, where is Phoebe Bridgers?
She came in and we were literally like, we were doing it still, and she was like doing some stuff there, and then she was getting straight in a car and driving to Birmingham to play a show. And she came in and we'd literally just done the chorus for BBs for the chorus. And she was like, okay, but you know, it's like in a certain register where you won't be able to hear me. And we were like, yeah.
Just do it anyway.
And she is, if you listen, like, she's got one line which is her own, but yeah, that's why you put it on like additional vocals instead of like a guest or what, do you know what I mean? Anything like that.
Phoebe Bridgers.
But she's really, really sound, and it was still...
Yeah, she's lovely.
Had you met before?
No, we'd done like an interview when we were releasing Drunk Tank Pink, it was COVID. Yeah. We did a fucking marathon thing, like virtual. Live stream, and she came on and chatted to us for a bit. But we saw him when we played in LA. We went to my mum's house for a party.
Went to an after party at my mum's house in LA.
Yeah.
Phoebe Bridgers' mum's house?
They had an in-house tarot reader. Yeah. It was very LA.
Sushi and vegan Mexican food, it was banging.
Beautiful.
And tequila cocktails.
So any kind of events popping up on the Food for Worms tour could
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. She's a very busy person.
She's got her stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly.
On tour with T-Swizzle and such.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe she can find some time for little old Shane. Maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
You made friends with Paul Mescal, didn't you?
I spoke to Paul Mescal.
Your good friend.
Who also sings.
He's very... Does he also sing?
He does also sing.
He was very nice. I was pretty pissed though when I was speaking to him though, so, but yeah. He's in that play now as well.
There you go.
She Can't End Desire. Stella. Anyway, so that is the story of how we. That's the story of how we did it. Yeah.
Beautiful. I want to ask about one other person who kind of worked on the album in a very big way. You worked with huge producer Flood.
Yeah.
Who helped you put this album together. What was that like, and how did the sound kind of change
How long
with
have
him?
you got? It was
eye-opening.
It was pretty insane. I mean, he came. So the first time we met him, we'd done all these demos, and we sent them out, and he came into Rough Trade, who were managed by Office, and sat down. And we were like speaking through the songs we had or whatever, and he was like, "I'm going to stop you there. I haven't heard a sausage, but I want to do the album." And we were like, "You haven't heard any demos?" He was like, "No." And we were just like, "Okay." And then that was that kind of mentality of his continued for, it just wasn't in that one period. Like we did it all live, which was the first time we'd ever done it. But you know, he'd be like, you know, we'd be playing a song, he'd be like, "I want to hear it played backwards. Don't sing it in Arabic." You know, or like whatever. It was all quite sort of like, "No, I don't like it." And we'd be like, "I think it sounds pretty good." He'd like, "You're right." So it was all...
How do you know what's right from that kind of conversation?
I have no idea.
You've done.
We the thing is as well was we put together the song so quickly in the live way, and then it was like the opposite. We came into the studio and then it was like complete looking at every avenue of things or whatever, like, and what things worked, what things didn't, and just kind of trying again and again. But because it was all done live, it's I remember one of our managers saying it was like, it came back and we all looked really like fit and healthy because it was like boot camp.
It was.
It was like, yeah, Flood's boot camp.
How does it feel like, beyond the kind of interesting working practices and the way to put things together, what kind of influences do you think that he brought in? Because I think musically there are a lot of different sounds to like Drunk Tank Pink in some ways.
I think he just brought in the fact of it was like whatever works as a song. It wasn't, you know, I don't think he liked comparisons. So like usually if you write, if anyone ever has an idea, it's like the first thing you kind of do is like, "Oh, it sounds like this," or "It sounds like that," or whatever, you kind of relate it. Whereas there wasn't any of that sort of discussion with him. It was more sort of what works best for the songs, and sort of, you know, so much about doing it live is you can do a take and there are mistakes in it, but if it's, you know, there's something about it that feels really good and feels really special, and so I think that's probably the hardest thing to capture. So in a way he became like a sort of therapist as well.
You say that really begrudgingly.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's a weird therapist to have. But yeah, so I don't know, I think he brought in kind of everything. It was like, it was something completely new that we'd never done before. It was very hard and very intense, but it didn't seem like there was much pressure. At times there maybe should have been pressure. But it seemed, you know, there were obviously periods where it was like, you know, the arguments or whatever, but for the long haul, a lot of it was
we got along pretty well, I'd say.
Yeah, it was just quite
Pretty
interesting.
amicable.
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing that you disagreed on amicably?
There's the last song, All the People.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rejigging and rewriting and restructuring and everything, and then we ended up with a version that we did on the final day of recording. And then
No, it wasn't. No, it's not.
No.
Oh, right.
We did a version that we worked ages on and then compared it to a live take that we'd recorded like 2 months previous, and we ended up going with the older one. And there was a lot of that track was just a bit of a nightmare. It was
Interestingly enough, there was that and one other song I can't actually remember at the moment that we never played. We had played that one once live or whatever, but we never like sort of wrote it in the way of that. It was pretty fresh coming into the studio. You know, Sean came up with all the chords and stuff like that, and then came in and had that second part of it, and we were just like, how do you try and make it work? So that one was, but we left it, you know, we did it first and we were like, we'll come back, and it was a lot of, like I say about doing anything live, I mean, the big factor is luck as well. You know, that it all fits together in one piece. But I don't know, I think it's going to be, when it comes out, whatever, I think that's when we can see the reaction to that song as well and stuff.
Okay, so there might have been a lot of luck involved in the recording of the album. But again, as we're going into another year with a new album, do you have any resolutions, not necessarily in like human beings having to have a better year, but for the band, what do you want to do with Shame in 2023?
Shred hard.
I think we want to amp up the live show. I think we've been doing, you know, since the beginning of the band, it's always been about like the live gig, or whatever. And now we want to sort of just get it to another level as well. You know, and whether that comes with gigs where it doesn't work or whatever as well, then at least we've sort of tried. I think that's sort of, I don't want people to come to sort of this album campaign and sort of, it's just like, you know, what you kind of expected. And however we do that, whether it's like, you know, like me trying to play guitar or whatever for a song, or just sort of, you know, tinkering with some songs, not drastically changing, but just sort of trying to sort of make it as interesting as possible. And obviously having like lights and stuff like that or whatever. Maybe costumes.
Maybe cost.
I think that'll be the thing as well. And also just to continue writing as well. That's sort of the main thing we need to be doing. You know, keep going with that, and think, you know, there's some good stuff floating around, so keep working on that, and hopefully have some new stuff to play as well when it comes to tour.
Nice, exciting. Well, we look forward to seeing you on the road in 2023.
Thank you very much.